Well, there's about $49,000 worth of seed and chemical on that truck. Let's go ahead and take delivery, get this corn crop started. Well, we was all set to go, blow and go planting corn very first thing this morning. Then about 9 o'clock last night, got about a little hair over 1/10 of an inch of rain, so a little sticky out here. That's fine. We still got plenty to do, unfortunately. The big culprit is this blasted sprayer. You about got her, Andy?
I've almost got her. Got to tighten those 2 bolts. Can't forget those. And those last 2 bolts in the back.
Apparently we found another wheel motor hose that was replaced this winter, and someone didn't tighten the bolts properly and blew the O-ring out in it. And then not only that, this happened yesterday. Our air leveling valve for our airbag somehow got caught and snapped off. So anyway, we got a new valve, got to put it on, but there's linkage that goes from here down to here, and that's the Simon's lift kit part, and that's got to come from Canada. We're not going to have one of those. It's going to take several days to get in. So anyway, last night I custom fabricated a rod to go between the two, because we don't need those air cylinders right now because we're not actually using lift kits, so we just got to keep it normal ride height. So I got a fixed mount made up that we can put on there. So things always fun on the farm. We got everything swapped over on our planter last night, swapped the corn in anticipation of an early start today, but again, that's not going to happen. So we got one last thing to do to it. We got to adjust our markers right here out to planting wide rows rather than narrow rows. Even though we don't really use our markers, they do come in handy from time to time. We need to get them to the proper lengths. And to adjust them, all we got to do is loosen up this clamp and then slide them out to the proper length. Make this quick and easy. We got a paint mark right here to let them know where they're supposed to be at. So she's ready for some wide row corn now. Well, that's a little something different y'all ain't seen on this farm before. You know, I said during corn harvest last year there was going to be changes to my corn program, and one thing was trying to figure out how to lower costs, especially on seed varieties, because our ground just can't support corn seed that they charge, you know, $300, $325 a bag for. Just can't do it. So I was going to have to do something different. Spent all winter researching varieties, different companies I'd never used before, just trying to find the right options for our seed. And one of my specific goals was trying to find some varieties that were, you know, pretty cheap, but were also good on tough ground, because we got a whole lot of tough ground, and believe this variety is going to be one of those. You know, a lot of these companies, you know, they produce, you know, high yielding varieties, really high yielding varieties, but really not making that many varieties that's suitable for your tougher ground. That's you know, good, that, you know, that's drought resistant, heat resistant, and everything else. You know, most of these companies have got a full lineup of like racehorse varieties that yield great on high yielding ground, but unfortunately we just don't have a whole lot of that high yielding ground. So anyway, we are trying out a little bit of Bex this year. This variety is a 6374 AA. This is a conventional variety, and because it doesn't have all the technology traits in it, it's about 2/3 of the cost of what your you know, decalbs and other stuff are that got a full lineup of traits. So it's been quite a few years since I've grown any conventional corn, but I think we got a good weed control plan on it, and This should offer substantial savings, at least on seed cost, and we'll find out how well it yields. It's supposed to be a pretty solid variety in all the plots that I've seen from last year. You know, it's it's not going to blow the doors off anything, but it's going to be good and solid. We're putting it on some of our thinnest hill ground, lowest yielding hill ground, and I expect it to perform pretty well. Anyway, we're going to get this loaded up here in the planter, and hope none of these rain showers move in the area, because I sure do want to put some corn in the ground today. All right, we got all of our corn seed loaded. Should be enough for about 22 acres, just enough to get started good, get everything set. So we're still not done filling up the planter. We still got to put our MicroNoc seed inoculant in there. And if you've been watching our channel, you know all about it. If you started watching last year, or what this MicroNoc seed inoculant is, it's it's a biological. And I've tested a whole lot of products on my farm. I tested a lot of biologicals on my farm, and this is the one product that consistently yields more and has a positive return on investment. Now, I'm not going to say that you need to be using this. I'm not going to do that, because my farm's different from your farm. You know, our environment's different. What I am telling you is that get you a pail of it and put you in some replicated plots and test it for yourself. I'm confident enough on it that it goes on every acre of corn. I tested this in previous years for 4 straight years in replicated side-by-side plots, and in 4 years over, I think, like 20 replications, this product never lost a comparison side by side. I think over all of those, I think we got an extra 8 bushels an acre on our plots. So I'm confident in it on corn anyway, for sure. We've seen mixed results on cotton. Have not seen any results on wheat, and I've not tested it on soybeans. I'm 100% confident in it on corn. So contact Sono Ag Fertilizer. I think they're down there in Texas. Contact them, get you a pail to try it out at least. But like I said, I'm not going to tell you you need to be using it, but you need to at least test it, because I think there's a good chance it could work for you. And they tell me that they reformulated the blend in here a little bit to include extra bacteria that are supposed to make your phosphorus and your potassium more available. I mean, we've seen a lot of products and additives out there, NutriCharge and Avail and others, that are supposed to help make your fertilizer more available. Well, what the folks at MicroNoc are telling me is that this product has got bacteria in there that's supposed to do the same thing. Don't know if it is or not, and I can't claim to that, but that's what they tell me. But this product's got Rhizobium, Azotobacter, Bacillus, and it's also got mycorrhizal fungi in there, which I think is extremely beneficial to me. But I think where we see the benefit from it is from the Azotobacter content, because the Azotobacters are free-living bacteria in the soil that take nitrogen out of the atmosphere and release it in the soil into a plant-available form. So I think that's probably where we're getting most of the yield benefit on corn, is from the Azotobacter part of this. Anyway, this is a dry product. You just mix it on top of your seed. One 10-pound container treats 50 acres of it. So again, if you're interested in it, go to sonoagfertilizer.com, talk to them, tell them I sent you, and they'll be glad to hook you up. And just want to let y'all know, I'm not sponsored by Sono Ag. They don't give me any free product. I pay the same price for this product as everybody else does, but the price on it is extremely reasonable for biological. I believe our cost is at a half a pound an acre is $4.65 an acre, so definitely a positive return on investment, and a whole lot more reasonable price than a lot of these biologicals you'll see on the market out there. All right, it's dang near lunchtime. We are finally heading to the field. Our sprayer got fixed and moved. However, our fertilizer buggy is still sitting there, and we'll be sitting there for a little while longer. We got several problems with that tractor. For one thing, it's not getting a speed signal into the Raven to spread fertilizer. I think that was a problem that happened last year. I just forgot about it and never got it fixed. So Andy's going to have to set a manual speed on the Raven and not use a rate controller. He's going to drive a certain speed. Bigger problem is not getting any GPS in that tractor. GPS RTK was working just fine on it last week, and all of a sudden today it's not getting any GPS. So he's waiting on the tech to get there to diagnose it, but it's not a huge deal. I mean, I'm sure he'll get up and running, and if he can't, I mean, we can spread without GPS. He'll just have to count rows and everything else, but we're not in a huge hurry because it's not looking too promising. We've already gotten several sprinkles, and it's just not looking too promising for the day. We're going to try at the very least get this sucker set, and we'll go from there, play it by ear. All right, let's enter in our prescription. First time I've ever wrote prescriptions from this new program. Let's hope it loads. All right. Yep. Oh wait, those rates are not right. Yeah, we're not going to be putting out 100,000 seed per acre. Oh, there we go. That looks right. She ought to work. Alright, it's going to be a tad sticky out here due to that 1/10 of an inch of rain we got last night. So we want to put a little bit of lift on our row cleaners here just so they don't dig down and make muck and everything. We'll try that, see where it lands us. Alright, barometer meters. Alright, keep your fingers crossed everything works. Let's go check her depths. Alright, let's see what she looks like. I can tell you regardless of one thing, even if we got the planter set, we're done planting. It's a lot stickier out here than what I thought. Yeah, I mean, it's just gonna make a mess of my planter if I try to plant into this. I mean, we can get in the ground and everything, but I mean, if I got mud sticking, if I got dirt sticking to the gauge wheels and everything else, not going to do it. We got no margin for error on this year's corn crop, and I'm not going to get it off to a bad start. We'll just have to wait for a better day. Or if the sun comes out, I mean, you know, it could possibly run later this afternoon, although it sure ain't looking that way. Even if it's muddy, furrow force, it's still working awesome. There's a seed trench. There we go. There's my seed right there. Right down there. It looks like we got it just a hair shallow, but those closing wheels kind of peeled the top layer of soil off where it's stuck to it, so it's hard to say if we got a proper depth. When it dries up, those things might be quite a bit deeper. So anyway, if it's not set perfectly right now, it's pretty darn close, but it's impossible to tell with it being this wet. So we'll fold her up, head in the shop, try it at a later time. Man, that 1/10 of an inch last night screwed up my plans today. All right, corn planting 2025, take 2. It has been a Monday every day this week, this Thursday included. All right, everything is finally running beautifully. Right now, it's an ugly beautiful, but thing's running. Apparently, my switch that detects whether my planter is lifted or not decided to throw a fit. Of course, it's now 5 years old. Those things don't last forever. It's got moisture in there, and it got real sticky. And the first pass around the field, it was showing my planter is lifted down. So had some gonna have some skips in that first round when I figured out it's finally the button. So we got it lubed up, but it's about to come to pieces. I've got one ordered. We're gonna be rained out for sure tomorrow, so we're gonna have a couple days that we can wrench on some of these aggravating gremlins that we've got temporary fixed. So anyway, Kelly and Andy, they've already moved back to the first farm that I started on this morning. It's still mighty heavy, but I'm gonna try and plant it because that's where this variety we got in the planter, that's where it's supposed to go. That's where its best bed is. So we're gonna try and get it planted, and then we're gonna swap varieties and move over and try and get the front field done on another 50-acre farm. Total, if I get all that planted today, that'll be about 37 acres. So with the way today is gone, I'll take that as a win. Well, I definitely made the right call in pulling out of this field this morning and waiting till a later time. It's really surprising me how much 6 hours drying time has improved this field. And in reality, the sun really wasn't shining all that much. Most of the afternoon it was cloudy, but that water's able to percolate on down through a little bit. All this cover crop was able to remove some of the excess moisture, and it's still planting heavy. It's not planting like a dream. It's still planting heavy, but it's definitely doing a good enough job to, I'm not worried about it. Don't have sticky soil sticking to everything, and looks like it's doing a good job. So, but this farm right here will wrap up the Beck 6374. In fact, I think I'm gonna be like a half a bag short on getting this farm done. Andy's not too far done from getting fertilizer spread on what I'm gonna try to get planted today, and then he's gonna load up with the next variety and bring it down here to me. We'll get swapped over. All right, we just got moved over here to the center farm and filling up a seed. Next variety is going to be DeKalb 11130. Now that's probably an unfamiliar number to a lot of y'all. You might have heard of 11135. Well, that's the conventional version of 11130. Really showed out in test plots last year, and really want to try it. I just didn't want to pay that over $300 per bag price tag. So we got the conventional variety. Took my salesman a while to track it down. It's about 2/3 of the cost of the fully traded version. However, he was only able to give me 10 bags of it when I was wanting 15. So what we're going to do to clean our planter out of conventional with this 11130, we're going to put the 10 bags in there, run it through, and then on this farm we got 5 extra bags of 11135, which is a fully traded version. So when we get run out real close on the 11130, we'll put the 11135 in there. And then when we get done with this farm, we ought to be pretty much out of seed according to my prescription. And then the conventional seed will have been run through the planter, and then we can go to spraying our Roundup Ready varieties, because you don't want any conventional seed mixed in with a Roundup Ready when we go to our next farm that we'll be using Roundup on. Otherwise, I'll have missing plants after we do our post-emerge application. So that's the way we're going to work that. And of course, can't forget our MicroNoc. I'm going to put a couple handfuls in each hopper. Stir it around real good, and we'll be well on our way to high yields. All right, I know I talked in the past about us creating variable rate planting prescriptions, and some of y'all might be wondering, what exactly I'm talking about. Well, this farm right here is an absolutely picture perfect example of variable rate planting and why we do it. As you can see right now, we're going up a hill, fixing to be on the hilltop, and then drop off the other side. This farm is extremely variable. It's very hilly. Some places have got real steep hills, and it's been heavily eroded over the decades of farming. Now, if y'all watch a lot of other agricultural channels, there's probably quite a few farmers on there talking about reasons that they might have low yield or whatever. Well, on our farm, 95% of the reason that we might have low yield in an area is due to our water hold capacity and not having very much topsoil. I've shown in the past a lot of places we might only have 4 to 5 inches of topsoil before we hit that pan. Well, it just doesn't leave a lot of room to store water whenever you're dealing with dry weather during the summer, especially with a moisture hungry crop like corn is. So that's why we variable rate plant our corn. That means that we're putting less seeds on our poor yielding ground to try and actually make more yield, and then we're putting a lot higher population on our better yielding ground because the ground can support it, and then it will also make high yield. If I were to put a higher population on our poor yielding ground, we would actually yield less with more plants than we will planting fewer plants, because there's a whole lot more competition for limited resources if you have more plants in an area. So if you look at my monitor here, right here on this map, that is my planting population. You can see it's got a lot of different colors ranging, from orange to darker green, and that represents my planting rates. The orange color represents low population at 17,000 plants per acre, and that ranges up to our darker green, which is 28,500 seeds per acre. The lighter green is 26,000 seeds per acre, and the yellow is 23,000 seeds per acre. So we're ranging planting from 17,000 to 28,500 seeds per acre, and that just represents, where the higher and lower yielding areas of the field are. And from this map right here, you can plainly see where the areas of the hills are, and then where the lower line areas are. You see where the lighter colors are, the yellows and the lighter greens, lower yielding areas. Those are the tops or the sides of the hills, and then the darker greens are the flatter parts, where all the topsoil from the lower yielding part has washed down into the higher yielding part. And and because of that, we've got more topsoil, we've got higher yield capabilities down there. And like this orange area right there, we're looking at a highly eroded place. There's like almost no topsoil, so that's why we're putting 17,000 there. Now, we're not actually controlling our planting rate manually. We've got our planting prescription loaded in the monitor, and this monitor is actually controlling the rate on the planter back there. And you might wonder, well, how do we actually create our planting prescriptions? What data do we use? Well, on my desktop computer with a program called Fieldalytics, we take all of our old harvest maps. I've got harvest maps going back to 2009. We run them through the program, and the program analyzes those harvest maps to find common low yielding areas and common high yielding areas, year after year, trying to find patterns. And then it creates zones in the field, and it will tell me like, hey, this zone is low yielding, this zone is medium yielding, this zone is high yielding. And then based upon my knowledge of the farm, plus my knowledge of what these varieties can do, because each variety is going to have a different planting rate, I try to match the variety with the properties that I need for that particular farm, and then I will assign planting rates to each of those zones to variable rated. And then I will export that prescription onto a thumb drive, load it on my monitor here, and I'm ready to plant. A lot of other people who variable rate plant their corn seed, they might use other factors to determine what their planting rate will be. A lot of people use soil maps to assign different rates to different types of soil. Well, again, soil type doesn't really matter on our farm because we're not dealing with a whole lot of soil. We don't have much topsoil. We're dealing with water holding capacity. So that's why we're writing our prescriptions based on prior yield maps. Other people might write maps based upon fertility, based upon their soil samples. But I don't want to do that. I'd rather variable rate apply my fertilizer to bring the lower fertility areas up to a higher fertility, and then theoretically my yield should rise also. So that's just kind of a brief overview about variable rate planting corn and why we do it. We don't variable rate plant our soybeans or our cotton because soybeans and cotton is not near as sensitive to population as what corn is. Corn can only produce 1 ear of corn per plant, and that's it. Whereas soybeans and cotton have the ability to compensate and branch out and put on more fruit per plant, just depending on what the growing conditions are every year. Well, I just run out of seed in row unit number 8, and all I like is just this little corner, about an acre shy of what I was wanting to get done. So I'm gonna plant down to the end. We'll just have a little skip row corn on this pass. Then I'm heading to the house. It's about 9:30. We've had a heck of a day. We've had a pretty long half of a day planting. I think we got started about 4:30ish or so. So 5 hours. We got 40 acres planted, changed varieties, fixed a couple other things. So anyway, guys, it looks like we're probably going to be rained out the next couple days with what the weatherman's saying. So hopefully things will dry up over the weekend, and Monday morning we'll be able to get started back on corn. Maybe get another day or two in before I think some more rain's supposed to come in. We're going to hit it hard when we get back out here. Also, guys, forget to mention it, you want to support our channel, don't forget to hit up our merch store, www.farmmerchband.com. Get you some Griggs Farms gear, hat, shirt, tumbler, license plate, whatever you want, we got it on there. So I'll wrap up the video now, guys. Appreciate y'all watching. Be sure to like this video. If you like the content, subscribe to our channel. Appreciate y'all watching. We'll see you in the next one.